Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of Anime Cult. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mike Martin, joined, as always, by my other two co-hosts. I say Mike Martin because that's my name. I should say Mathis because you guys go by Indeimaus and Dodger. It sounds so weird if I'm like, Mike.
We can do Liam, Brooke, Mike.
What feels right in your heart, dude?
I can't answer that question cleanly. I have been Mathis for so long that, like, I think I've been called Mathis more than my real name at this point in, like, the measure of my life.
I think that's fair.
You know, I go with both. Welcome anyway. Hello, hey guys. What's going on? It's been a while for us.
You know what's fun? A good, a benefit to either way that you introduce yourself is, I think if you use Mathis in there and somebody had a death note, they might be a little confused when they tried to kill you.
Oh man, which brings us to exactly what we're talking about today. We had a little extra time on our hands, thankfully, and honestly, I'm grateful because we're talking about a Death Note. We have gone through all 39 episodes of Death Note. And just right at the top, give people just a quick one paragraph or so, like synopsis, spoiler free, in case for some reason you're booting this up and you're just like, oh, I've never seen this before. Death Note is a psychological thriller anime about a young boy or college kid by the name of Light Yagami, who's a genius high school student who finds a mysterious notebook called the Death Note. This notebook allows him to kill anyone whose name he writes in it as long as he knows their face. Believing he can use the Death Note to rid the world of criminals and create a better society or utopia, Light takes on the alias of Kira and begins his quest for justice. However, his actions soon catch the attention of the mysterious and highly skilled detective known as L, who is determined to stop them, and so we get our tense cat and mouse game between the two of them. That's Death Note. And last had anything to do with that Death Note was back when the manga was still new. I borrowed it from my friend as he was reading it, and that was it. I never watched the anime, and it's been since then since I've seen it. What about you guys?
I read the manga when I was in high school, I think.
Yeah, I was right around then.
Yeah, and then watched the anime. I think in my early or mid 20s, something like that. So it's been a while for me as well.
I watched it for the first time in 2018, and I then went out and bought the manga. I don't know if you guys know that giant, thick Death Note that has all of it in the one book. I thought it was a box set, so I bought that, and it came in as one book.
But it's actually one book. I actually didn't realize it was one big book. That's amazing.
37 episodes in that one book. I'm like, there's no possible way I can read this. So I just read it digitally up to part 2, what we're calling part 2. And I haven't finished the manga, but I have seen Death Note probably 2-3 times since 2018. This would be my 4th.
Pretty recent.
Yeah. That's what got me back into anime.
That's right. Yeah, we talked about that.
It's typically Death Note usually winds up on people's lists of if you want to get somebody into anime.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of times Death Note is on that list for a reason. It's I think one of those it's one of those anime that's so intriguing and I think really surprising to people if they're going into it thinking that they're all Dragon Ball Z, you know?
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, selling this to people who don't even like anime is very easy. It's just like a thriller. It just happened to be animated.
Well, now I need to know what anime you would request to somebody that you don't want to get in anime. If somebody was like, what, and you're like, I don't want them getting into this hobby. I don't want to talk to them about this shit.
I love One Piece, but I would say start watching One Piece.
You have to lead into it with, dude, you got to start with One Piece because it really gives you an idea of what all anime is like. And then they'll be like,
you never hear from him for a decade. Just go on.
Death Note? As in a notebook of death?
It's, I guess we should talk about this in the 2 parts, huh? Part 1, the first half before the big twist, and then, part 2. And, I don't know where to start. I was excited to get back to this, but I was also nervous, not nervous, but I'm more nervous I was going to be bored. because
you knew what the twists were going to be.
Yeah, I'm the kind of guy who won't play an RPG multiple times because, like, even if there's like different endings, like my story is like how I see it, and it's not fun for me to go back and see all the same things again. And I was pleasantly surprised. I think there were bits of it that I was like, oh yeah, I fucking hate this character or whatever. But for the most part, it was still really enjoyable to watch. And I forget how much fucking I hate Light. Just like immediately, I hate this kid.
Oh my god! If you want to like get pissed off, go onto Reddit or Tumblr and read Light apologists.
I don't need to. My girlfriend is one of them. She thinks she like looks to me when we're watching and she's like, I know it's a problem, but he's hot. And I'm like, no, he's a narcissist.
I'm okay. Honestly, I'm okay with that. If you're like, there's just something about him. That's part of the character, right? Is that somehow he's such a good manipulator. He's so charming, right? Like that's literally baked into his character. It's when people are like, he was right though, and his methods were right. I'm like, stop.
As soon as you see, God, I wanted Light to win at the end, I'm like, no,
you missed
you're
the
a psychopath.
whole point. Yeah,
you are Light in real life.
And I think I remember as like a high schooler reading the manga a bit early on. I kind of saw Light's perspective, but that was I was young.
I wrote down episode 1. Light could be seen as the good guy.
Yes,
sure.
Like just episode 1.
Yes,
because he's like he kills some criminals, and he's like, I'm just gonna kill some criminals. Episode 2 is like you see his book, and like Doug showed us that TikTok of the meme of like when Ryuk shows up, and he's like, oh. Like, what? Do you have any questions? And then Light's are already written like 4,000 names in the book.
Well, here, I'm going to really freak you out now. You can't go to heaven or hell. And he's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. How many people can I fit on one page?
Yeah, how can I like really change my life? Oh, I mean, even up to the point, like, I can still see some people maybe being like, whatever, like living in Texas. There are a lot of people who are like death for any crime. Like, so like I can see people seeing it. For me, I think that the point when he kills Ray Pember, like that's the going back moment for me.
Not only that, but I think I was looking up her name because I couldn't remember, but Naomi, his like
such a good
former
episode.
FBI fiance, right? I think that's the first episode where you see him be intentionally cruel. Right? Like he builds up her belief that she could be part of this, that she could solve this crime, all of this stuff, and then makes sure before she dies that she knows that it was him, right? And it's like
being like the age that I am and being like having gone through so much more life and therapy and all this other shit. In that moment, for me, is the first moment his mask slips and you see the narcissist for what he is. And that's what he is to me, is like, it's he's narcissism like personified. He thinks he's a god, quite literally. Like everything he does is a calculated maneuver out of manipulation, where L on the other side of it is like autism, like fucking personified. I relate very much to him, is like, and it's these two like, they're both geniuses for different reasons, and it's a very Batman Joker kind of story as well with L and Light. But yeah, that moment where he does, and he's like, wants her to see it, and it's him. Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, he's a fucking psychopathic narcissist, and you can't root for this guy anymore.
Well, it's stupid because I think most people, when you think about this story long enough, you're like, he could have won if he just wasn't an egomaniac, right? If he just sat in his house and just wrote down names and didn't like pursue finding out exactly what the police know, didn't need to like be involved and like feed that part of his ego, he probably could have done this forever.
Yeah, I have a really good meme saved, which I won't use the exact wording in it, but it's like, this idiot had the easiest win of his life if he just sat in his room and wrote names.
Yes.
There is nothing, no one could have done anything. And he just screwed it up so bad. he is for the smartest guy in the whole series, he is the biggest idiot.
Because that's the thing, but that's narcissists though. Like a lot of narcissists are very smart. They learn to manipulate at an early age, and they fuck up when they like run out of sources essentially. And
it's like I mean, I don't want to spoil Breaking Bad, but it's like the Walter White thing where he's at dinner and he's had some wine and it's all over. And then he goes to his brother, who was the DEA agent, like, I don't think you got the guy. I don't think you got Heisenberg. And he didn't have to say that, but because of that narcissist in him.
But he couldn't help it.
That like started up the whole thing again. And it's like, man.
It's crazy. But speaking of we should talk about Ryuk first of all. I love
the best character.
I love him. I don't know what his voice acting like's in English, but in the Japanese, it's like chef's fucking kiss too. Like it just such a good character. And Death Note takes like anime is strange in the entertainment sphere in that it's a lot of it's very exposition heavy a lot of the time. It's a lot of and then storyline kind of telling, but like it works. That's like Death Note wrangled that, and obviously in the manga, but in the anime too. And it like the whole format of anime almost is like a weapon for Death Note. It's so good because of the way anime I think is like laid out in terms of an entertainment like consumerism kind of thing, where American or other types of media are formulaic in different ways, but it kind of just takes the format of anime and like really uses it to great effect. This constant cat and mouse, and just to hear people babble about their thoughts essentially is interesting to watch. And that alone is just like the writing is just so fucking good.
The writing is, there's really good fan edits of like, this is an episode without their internal dialogue, and it's just El and Light sitting at the table for like
silently
8 minutes, and they're not saying anything. And then, but the internal dialogue is just so good, like when they're trying to work each other out. And they're like, I've never watched it in Japanese, but the English, I'm interested to hear what you have to say about the English voice acting, dudes, because you're usually a sub.
I normally do watch subs. Yeah. Oddly enough, the voice that I had the hardest time getting used to was Light's.
Okay.
And I don't know why. He has a very like, man, I hope that, I get to go to prom sort of voice, but he's talking about...
Interesting. He's got like anime boy voice.
He has anime boy voice. Yeah.
That's wild, because like in the Japanese version, he will use that voice only when talking to people like in his family, and then everything else like a super serious.
So yeah, I think the reason that it was fine eventually is because that's his voice at the start, and slowly it turns into like soft anime boy tries to be Batman voice. so he'll be like, "Oh man, Dad, I really hope you catch Kira. It's been so hard, but don't worry, I believe in you." And then he'll go upstairs and be like, "That fool, he has no idea that I am Kira." Right? Like,
my favorite line is like the damn him.
Oh man,
when like Elle figures something out, damn, he knew it all along.
I gotta go listen to that, because it's like the opposite in the Japanese voice acting, where like his anime boy voice seems so out of place compared to his normal internal dialogue, which is so cold, so monotoned, so calculating. And then when he does the anime boy thing, it's like it works because he does it very well. I mean, I think he's doing it well. I don't speak Japanese, but sounds appropriate. But yeah, there's such a dichotomy there. It doesn't sound like soft anime boy trying to do cold. It sounds like cold man who has a practiced personality that should be anime boy.
Yeah. How's Elle in Japanese versus English?
Yeah,
he's good. I don't know what he's like in English, but
I really like his English voice acting. So, but Dukes, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I thought you were going to ask how I felt about the English. So I jumped in there too early.
No. Like, what do you think of his English as well?
I like it. Yeah, I like literally all of the other voices, even Misa, which sometimes I have a really hard time with, like, yay sort of voices.
Gotcha.
But I think I was fine with everybody else. It was, I think, just because Light is the character,
Yeah.
But
so like that. And speaking of Misa, when she shows up, it's interesting. We already knew that Shinigami basically like came down. A second one was like, I'm bored. I'm gonna fucking see what Ryuk's doing. And yeah, it makes sense. And she traded for the eyes. In Japanese, she's way more like that kind of like, I don't know what the term is. High, squeaky, not like high energy, but like almost a domicile or subservient, very like yandere, I guess might be the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
For clarification, the way that she got the death note was because a Shinigami was watching her, ready for her to die.
He was simping, yeah.
Yeah, he
simped too hard. He killed the guy that was supposed to murder her.
Mm-hmm.
And then we found out that the way that Shinigami die is if they extend a human's life, which they sort of like pared down to they fall in love with a human, which I don't feel like is necessarily the same thing, but
the way it came off in Japanese was like the intent behind it. They almost kind of clarified, like, by killing somebody, you're almost going to extend somebody else's life potentially if you don't know what they're going to do. But it was the intent behind him killing that woman that's what got him. It was like that weird, I'm not doing it for the sake of like extending my life or killing because they're supposed to be killed. I'm doing it for this, again, love, like you said, pared down love, like version. But yeah. And then he was a cool looking one too. His name was Jealous. He was like a little skull puppet thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
they all have so cool. They all look so good.
And then Rem, for whatever reason, was like, because Jealous died saving you, you get the death note now. I don't know where the logic was in that, but I feel like it's sort of maybe not explicitly said, but implied that Rem was like really intrigued by her because Jealous was willing to like destroy himself for her.
Yeah, that's what I got too. Is like, why is she so special? Let me go see. And
yeah.
Do you like Misa?
And then wound up
character?
sipping too. These, dude. 100%. And what I was going to say about Ryuk a few minutes ago is what I love. Typically, it's so easy to complain about a character not changing through the whole thing. I love that Ryuk specifically, and I know we're not talking about part 2 yet, but I love that Ryuk from the get-go is like, I'm doing this because I'm bored. And that man does not change the entire story.
No.
Like, even when Light gets outplayed, he's just like, ooh.
Oh, that's
gotta suck, Light.
Yeah.
This guy's good.
He's kind of a stoner. The apples are like his drug, and he just is kind of like, I'm fucking bored. Just eat apples and see what's going to go on.
When he can't have his apples because there's like the cameras around the house, and he is wigging out. It's so good. He's so like it. Like Death Note is really funny as well. I think. I mean, it's mainly Rogue, but yeah, it's got some good comedy in it for sure.
That's like Ryuk is like he's from moment one. He's who he says he is, and you can count on him being who he says he is. And he's like, I'm gonna write your name in the Death Note at the end, just how it's gonna be. And he holds true to everything. And he's like you said, he does it. He's hiding. He holds back things because he's like, I want to see what happens. I don't want to tell you when I see another Shinigami because I want to just see what happens. I don't need you to know. I'm just curious as to how you're going to act like, because you're weird and interesting.
So yeah, I think for me the first like big oh shit moment for me when originally reading Death Note was the press conference that L sets up to trap Light.
Yeah, that's that. Like I think it's episode 2, which has the fake L on
fake
like the
L
news.
on TV. Yeah.
That is such a good scene.
It's
like I've gone back and just watched that scene by like Lynn L. Taylor or whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm.
It is that is like peak Death Note right there. And it's episode 2. It's insane. Like when you think back on it, you're like, oh, that happens. That must happen like episode 8 or something. But this show moves so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wrote down, I don't think there's like a single filler episode that you could cut out and not
cut some from the manga.
There's information in every episode. I completely agree.
Yeah, like it is just like jam packed, and that's why I think it was so easy on this rewatch. Is just even though I've seen it and I know exactly what happens, it's just so easy to watch again because every episode has like a vital component to the whole game in it. And that's probably why it's one of my favorites.
You kind of binge it easy too, because without credits and like the intro, it's like 18-minute episodes. You can just fucking suck them down.
Insane.
Yeah, you can slam like 4 in an hour typically.
Yeah. Did you guys skip the intro ever? Which we talked about for. Yeah, I did too.
But I gotta say, sorry, Indy, go for it.
No, go for it.
I was just gonna say.
No, go.
I'm just gonna watch this.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna let you play this one out for now.
Okay, all I was gonna say is
now hurry up already, will you? The symptoms are getting worse.
Suppose you're right. Well then, I'll buy you some apples.
Nice.
I feel like people really big up the first intro and not so much the second one. I was really into the second one this time.
The second one is so much better.
It's really good.
With Nia walking, Light's just walking, and it shows like Nia in front of the camera, and as he walks past the sun, it like shows Nia's crazy eyes. It's so much better than the. Like I watched the first intro once, I think, on this rewatch, but the second intro I watched a couple of times. I'm like, this is sick as hell with like I forgot the band name. They do a lot of like the metal stuff, but
The second opening and closing were done by Maximum the Hormone.
Maximum.
That's
the
a great
Hormone,
fucking
they
name.
are-
I love
Yeah.
that.
the Japanese metal
That's
bands
sick.
are so good. Yeah, I agree. Second intro, much better. I didn't really watch the outros. So.
Yeah, I didn't either. I fucking skipped it every time. So obviously, then we get to the point where Misa joins. What do you guys think of Misa as a character overall? Do you like her? Did you hate her?
I really like her. Yeah, I mean, like
I did not like her in the manga,
Spotify's
and I
not going to be able to see this, but
still don't think I liked her very much in the anime as like a character.
Yeah.
You don't like her in the anime?
I didn't hate her. I don't want to say like I hated her. I just wasn't. I don't know. She almost felt like just like I need her for plot reasons initially. Like I appreciate why and like the story with Gel and all that stuff with Jealous, but almost like she shows up at a point where it was like almost like, oh fuck, I wrote myself in a corner for a minute. Like, how am I gonna get Light out of this situation where he's working with the cops and they're suspecting him and Ella's like getting on his ass? Fuck, okay, we get somebody who makes a deal for the eyes and whatnot, which again they set up earlier. It's not that they don't, but I don't know. Misa just I've never really loved that character overall. What about Dodger? What about you?
I think Misa is really necessary, or a force like Misa, because we did wind up in this position where like the two main characters are just having brain battles all day long, right? And I think Misa is important because she is all emotion.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she is entirely like driven by this really skewed form of love that she has for Light that goes into the obsessive sphere a few times. I think, for that reason, I think she's really necessary. I am sad that she isn't more involved in his downfall.
Yes, she could have been a great foil to that.
Yeah, because she's, at near the end, she's been used by this man for 5 years now, right?
Yeah.
And we have all of these, again, I know we're not exclusively talking about part 2 yet, but it's so hard.
We're jumping as we were.
Yeah.
Basically every scene with Misa in part 2, there's this really obvious imagery, but I still love it, of a bird that is like in a cage desperately trying to get out, right? It's easy to be like, that's Misa. She's trapped, right? She's stuck here. She's lost a lot of her agency, especially at the point where she's again given up all of her memories, right? Like she's just being yanked in so many directions depending on Light's will, right?
And she's cut her life in half like 3 times in a row just for Light.
Yes, dude.
I don't know how much like the writer intended it, but she's like, again, a great metaphor for someone trapped in a toxic relationship with a narcissistic person. You give up your whole yourself to fit their version of perfect, which is exactly what the fuck is doing. Yeah. And like, that's what it is in life. Like, and it's in that regard, she's excellent. I do wish she was more involved in his downfall though. Like,
these might sound like opposite things, but I don't think they are. I wish I think there's something like really beautifully fucked up about the fact that she also murdered a bunch of people, but she doesn't remember it. And so I guess we kind of have to be okay with the fact that she didn't die or go to jail at the end. Like she's just sort of sad and by herself, but like
it's we keep going into part 2, but I assumed that she did die. I assumed she killed herself.
Oh, do you think so? Do you think that's what the like ending sequence is alluding to?
Up on the roof, like when she was like leaning over the edge, I just assumed that was like implicated that she was gonna just, because like she not once goes against Light throughout the whole thing, no matter what. And I'm guessing she heard that he died, and that was like, she's like either that or her life expectancy, because it was cut so short. She's like, I'm gonna die anyway in like a year, so I'm just gonna kill myself.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like, what's the average life expectancy? If we were like, oh, she'll live till 80 something,
80, yeah.
Then she cuts it in half. She'll live to 40 something. Cuts it in half again. Yeah, how much time did she really have left?
Yeah, I would imagine.
And there was like that 5-year gap like, yeah, she did not have long, because I think she cut it in half after before the 5-year gap. So
Yeah, she did.
yeah, either her life was just getting it. That's how she died. She was going to die no matter what. Was that suicide, or she just couldn't handle that? Light, the freak was gone.
Which we should probably get to the point where like we move into part 2.
Yeah.
We're already there.
We all agree that part 1 is like perfect.
Yeah. How do you feel about
Just
Elle dying?
So, yes, I feel like all three of us are kind of maybe in the same place.
I'm curious what you're going to say, because before going into this, I hated it.
Share my thoughts.
I hated it before I went into this, and I still think the story would have been better if they didn't kill him, but I'm curious what your thoughts are first.
May I? I'm
yes,
sorry.
take it.
I got too excited. I'm so sorry.
No, go.
So when we were doing the here's the state of mind we're going into this rewatch with video, right? All three of us were like, we agree that once Elle dies, it takes a nosedive, right? And I feel like, for whatever reason, maybe implied in our past conversations, that all three of us were kind of able to go into this rewatch in a different headspace and be like, I know Elle's gonna die. I'm gonna watch part 2 with a different frame of mind, right?
There's no shock anymore. I'm not mad that you took away my favorite character anymore.
Yes, because I'm willing to admit that I think a lot of the hate of part 2 is because this poor mangaka wrote Elle too well, and everyone loved him too much and felt really upset that he died, right? And so just refused to accept Melo and Nier and anything that came after. But like, dude, I enjoyed part 2 so much this time.
I agree. Go ahead, Indy, please.
Yeah. Well, I was probably the most positive on part 2, I think, in our initial like thoughts video, because I'm like, yes, Elle is obviously like one of my favorite characters ever, and I think his death was very necessary, and I also think it was deserved on his part, because yes, he was incredibly smart, but also his emotion and his friendship, even though I guess it depends how you take it, his friendship with Light, he shouldn't have done that, and he could have won. He risked it all to push.
That's what makes Elle not a narcissist too. Like that's the part.
Yeah, that's why Nier was like the perfect Elle, because he had no emotions towards Light at all. He's like, you're a serial killer, you're a psychopath, I'm taking you down. Whereas Elle was like, you're like my first friend, maybe we can go on like a 3-way date with like Misa. I wanted to ask you guys, when Elle died, that whole episode leading up to that, and how he stands out in the rain and he's like, do you hear the bells?
Yeah, it's all so
ringing.
Fucking like,
do you think he knew he was gonna die, or did you think he knew that he was about to win because of he was gonna have that criminal write the name in the book and blank out that rule? So do you think he thought in that moment he was winning, or did somehow he just knew that was his death?
It's a very good question. I don't know.
Because like watching it, we're like, he knows that he's gonna die, but how would he?
Yeah.
Like, how would he know that he's gonna die? I'm assumed that he knew that he was about to win, because he's like, I'm going to test this fake rule out. I'm going to like debunk that, and then Light's done.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I feel too. I think I thinking on it is like, I mean, that's part of the character. It's like, he's also pretty cocky about things, and he's pretty confident about things, and he loves a puzzle. Yeah, I think it's more for the viewer to be like, tease like, yeah, he's going to die, whether he knows it or not. This is it for him.
I sort of assumed that it was him kind of, I'm trying to think of how to put this. Yeah, I guess sort of to spitball off of him developing this relationship with Light by accident or not, or like seeing a sort of kindred mind in Light, feeling challenged by another person, right? That he was sort of, wrestling with these feelings of like, I might be wrong about all this, and I don't know how to feel about it.
Maybe he wanted to be wrong.
Yeah,
like he was like, God, I hope I'm wrong about Light, because this is like a good friend.
Yeah. And if he's acknowledging that if he's right, he's going to be sad about it. and
The lose-lose in a lot of ways.
yeah, and it sort of explains like him having this sort of strange tender moment with him after getting out of the
The weird
rain
feet,
and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, and being like,
Yeah.
let me clean your feet. Like,
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's very biblical.
very biblical. Yeah.
yeah.
We talked about Light's downfall, and I think him getting L is his downfall. That's what got him,
Yeah.
because that point he thought he was unstoppable. That's where like it became his ego truly became uncontrollable, and that's what fucked him. And that's why I think I appreciate it more. Is like looking at the death of L. It's like, yeah, it feels like a win to L in the moment, especially if you're first time watching it or reading it. You're like, holy shit, this is a win for L. I don't see it, but really, it's the first step of his fall. Him getting L was the last thing he needed to stay hidden forever, especially if L, they're just going to get to think that they weren't going to have more people fucking just taking his place and like looking for him and shit. It's it's and that for that reason I can like look at it more and I'm like, oh yeah, the story beat is a little bit more meaningful the second time around.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes in part 2 was the very early on when he gets on the phone call with Nia for the first time, and they have like the imagery of the chains reappearing and like L appearing behind him.
Like I can never actually get away from him.
Yeah, this guy like he reminds me of L so much. And then it's like the chain, like L said, these chains. Once I put these chains on us, if I die, you die. And it's like he was right.
Yeah.
He was
that's
100%
so
right.
true.
Yeah.
What a cool throwback. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember being so surprised that there was a time skip,
Mm.
but I love that time skip happens because it means that he has spent, again, like maybe at this point now 5 years feeling untouchable, right? Like feeling like nothing can beat him. Like his ego is just next level. And you can really see that in this part, the way that he talks to people, the way he uses people. Oh my God, his dad dying.
Yeah.
That
dude,
that still devastates me. That is like, I think I'm like 100% sadder than Light is in that situation.
It's fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like
oh my God. The fact
and
that
you think he's showing emotion at the bed, and then he's just trying to like get him to write the name down, like Melo's name down, and you're like, you bastard, you fucker. Like that made me hate Light more than anything in the whole series, I think.
And knowing that if his dad wrote the name down, that his dad could not go to heaven, right? But it was more important for him that his dad write the name.
Because Light is a hollow shell of a human being.
Because he doesn't care. He doesn't care about anybody.
No,
oh my God.
He wants power and confidence is a slow and insidious killer, right? Like that's the fucking thing. That's what got him. 5 years, like you said, of whatever, of him just being untouchable.
And like the whole thing with Sayu, if I recall correctly, at least in the English, when he's like, am I gonna have to kill Sayu? And it feels in the way that it's written like he's like, I can't do that. That's my sister, right? But then immediately he's like, then it'll be really obvious that it comes back to me. And it's like, it's your sister!
He's more worried about just like him getting caught.
I feel so bad for that family, man.
Me
Like
too.
Light's family are the true victims
mom,
of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Bro, his mom has been through so much shit. The scene where she's just sitting at an empty table by herself devastates me.
Yeah. And like, obviously we don't see it, but that they heard that Light was Kira in the end. Like, and that would have...
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And they would have linked that back to the reason, her husband died. It's like, I was like, good God, the ramifications of that whole thing is so brutal. I'm glad we don't see that.
That poor woman would never be the same. And she'd just break. I would break. God, I would break.
Yeah.
If I learned my
100%.
son was murdering people by the thousands with just like for years and I just never knew. And I'm like,
his own dad. And,
what did I raise? How did this monster become like my child?
You know what I love? And it's at the very end, but I love that like we have all this time establishing like how Kira has affected the world, right? Like how this cult has grown up around him and all of these things. And I love that at the very end, when Light is losing it, when he's at his most pathetic, I love how pathetic they make him look at the end. Like it's amazing, his breakdown. But
I really want to talk about that too, actually.
I love that Nier is just like, you're not a god. You're a killer. That's it. That's it at the end of the day, right? Like
he's literally like, you're a fucking loser.
It's like, so I just love, like, that's the analytical part of L, right? It's just like, no, at the end of the day, the way that everybody else sees you doesn't fucking matter. Your actions matter.
Yeah.
And you were a murderer. That's it. The end, you know?
Nothing matters. What's that? Do we want to talk about the ending already? Before we get there, what should we?
Well, let's talk about Nia and Melo.
Sure.
Like obviously Nia is the new L and less so Melo. They were both like part of his two emotions, just the cold statistics one and then like the angrier kind of one. Like even in my initial watch, I really liked Nia, but I can see why, because like he can't replace L.
Yeah.
And everyone thought that he was like trying too hard to be L, but I'm like, all these kids were brought up in that same environment. Of course he's going to be
very similar
to L. But without like any emotional connection, and they needed that to get light, obviously. But yeah, I really like Nia, and I even on the rewatch, I kind of like Melo as well. Like he is so vital to taking down light in the end.
Yeah.
Like all three of them were, but yeah, like that whole truck, like kidnapping and the fire and stuff. That was, and who's the guy that who light hires? The crazy guy?
Mikami, yeah.
Mikami, yeah. And he's like, I really like him as well.
I like him too. The delete guy.
Yeah.
Delete. And then like at the end again, he is shown so pathetically. He's like, God, why don't you like me? When he's on like his knees and it's so good.
He's a different character at the end in the manga. And that's why I'm excited to talk about. The ending in the manga and the ending in the anime are different.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, do we want to talk about that or do it? No, Nia and Melo, I agree with you, by the way. It's interesting, too, Nia and Melo. I was excited to see them on camera because I was curious how their little fidgeting, like toys and finger puppets were going to translate. And we were watching, Jess was like, I don't understand why they do this. And the answer is because in the manga, it's so much exposition. They need some sort of something happening in the fucking frame. It's all just for visuals.
I love the little finger of like, and then Kira is so ugly.
Yeah.
It's such like a fuck you to him as well.
Yeah.
And I do like them a lot more the second time around as well.
Yeah. Melo's theme as well. Music theme. So good.
Yeah. All the music in the fucking show is excellent.
Oh.
I want the vinyl. If there has to be one, I gotta find it.
It's probably so expensive now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure that's true.
Oh God, man, the finals get so expensive so fast. I was looking for, I bought the Persona 3 like one that was just released like at IM8bit a while back, but because the Persona 5 one is like $200 if you want to fucking get it. I'm like, good God.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Brutal. It has to do with like supply and demand and how many they've made, and like it's stupid.
Yeah, it's all dumb capitalism. Fucking
but yeah, I do like on one hand, could they have made Nier not have quite so many of L's mannerisms? Sure, they could have. But I do like how clearly they established that he's like a kid. Right? Like imagery wise and everything, like it's really obvious that Nier is younger, right? And I do love that they also talk about the fact that, you know, they're smart enough to realize if L couldn't take this guy down by himself, then of course we had to work together in the end, right? Yeah. So I do like that we, even as the audience, were led to believe that they just like refuse to work together. I do think that's one of the things about the writing that works so well is when the mangaka decides we need to know something, and when they decide we don't need to know something, and those moments where it's like, you didn't know this, but guess what? it always works so well.
Yeah, the reveals always feel so well thought out, so fucking planned. But no, please.
Sorry.
No, please. That's what we're doing this podcast for.
I know. Can I say one more thing?
No, you can't. We're moving on.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Me and Mike from here.
Yeah, you and your Mike.
So in the kidnapping scene, right? When they take what's her butt, and Matt is like driving off, right? And he gets surrounded by the police, and he comes out and is like, I'm sure you guys have questions for me, so I know you're not going to shoot me. And then they just load him up with bullets.
Yeah.
I love that scene because it really pushes how it would affect, like, if you believe that there's this God entity that's punishing people, like, how much would you care about bringing people in and asking them questions and shit? Be like, if you're guilty, Kira will punish you, right? So we know you're guilty. We're going to shoot you. Who cares? And it's like, oh my God, it's so crazy. Like, Japan is so crazy by the end of this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
It's
like
fun.
even with like all the TV shows with like the over the top hosts.
Yes.
And that freak. I don't know his name, but he's like the main host of Kira TV.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and he's the one who I think he drops all the money. Or no, he like is trying to pick up all the money when they're trying to get Nia out of the building, and like someone I forget who, but they drop all the money in front of the building, so everyone just goes crazy for that, and everyone ignores like Nia coming out of the building. But yeah, there's this like I feel like we even skipped like the when Kira isn't Kira, and they hand it off to like all the business men. And there's like that whole like bit of like Kira just being a normal guy, like Light just being normal for a while this like even worse version of Light is like just doing the creepiest shit with like Misa and stuff.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me. Something that I definitely wanted to bring up is I love how his eyes are different when he remembers and when he doesn't.
Yeah.
Light's eyes, the way that they're drawn is totally different when he's just a dude. And when he's like Kira, right? So there's like a huge difference when he gets his memories back. He looks drastically different. And I think that's such a cool touch.
It's such a good scene as well when he first touches the Death Note again and it just all like comes back to him.
I win.
Elle like looking at him just scream like for it must be like 20 seconds of a scream just like and like Elle's like, what the hell is wrong with this?
He's like, yeah, I guess it would be scary to see a Shinigami for the first time. Bro.
Ryuk's scary, man. He's a scary looking dude anyway.
Yeah.
The ending in the anime is basically, he's in the warehouse, he gets caught, he starts basically, like you said, being pathetic, begging like for anything to fucking like write the names in the Death Note, any like save him, whatever. And in that moment,
shoots him up. My boy Matsuda finally gets his moment.
And he's like, where's Misa? Where's like the news lady? I'm like, you left them. You killed them. Like, you deserve
You have
this.
no one on purpose.
And in that moment, his little buddy follower tries to commit suicide to buy him a moment of time where he gets to run away, where he basically just like, we see him, I guess almost metaphorically trying to like run from what he's done, like run from his actions of the past, and then Ryuk's like sitting up on like a water tower and he's like, and I'm going to write your name in the book. And Light kind of just dies ceremoniously on stairs, like in a building nearby.
It's implied that his life flashes before his eyes as well, that he thinks about who he was.
You can see Elle right at the end, like looking down on him. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh shit! I don't think I did notice that. No,
like, it's like the shadow of Elle, like watching him on the stairs. It's super cool. Yeah.
It still paints him as pathetic, but it almost gives him this air of like sympathy at the end of like, is he questioning? Like, is he regretting? Whatever. In the manga, he's way more pathetic. So in that moment when he's begging, Ryuk is in the room with him and he's begging Ryuk to write everybody's name in the book. He's like, please save me. And what's his name? The guy who kills himself.
Mikami.
Mikami, yeah.
When Mikami sees him being pathetic, he in the manga loses his faith in him completely. Right. He doesn't attempt to kill himself. He just gets out of the way. He's like, "Oh shit, you're truly fucking pathetic. Why did I care about
cringe.
you?"
Yeah.
And in that, so he starts basically begging Ryuk, and Ryuk says, "Sure, I'll do it." And he takes in that room, he takes the Death Note out, and he just writes Light's name right there. And for the next 40 seconds, all Light does in that room with everybody around him is say, "I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to die." And then he dies, and that's it. And it's like, they really give him like.
I honestly think that's better.
I love that so much more. It keeps him that narcissistic, pathetic person that he was to the very end. He doesn't get a chance to think on things. He doesn't get a chance to walk away from it. He's surrounded by all the people who caught him, and for 40 seconds, all he does is pathetic. I don't want to die. Right. A god now just begging, like saying, "I don't want to die," and then he has a heart attack. And it's like the anime ending is still good, but it changes. The character, like he tried to commit suicide, giving him that time, and just softens it a little bit for me. I'm not, comparing it. I prefer the manga, but the anime is still good.
My man got shot like 12 times by this.
Yeah.
Matsuno went to shoot him in the head too, and was stopped. But yeah, when they just let him walk out, right? And I do like that.
And that dude spurted a lot of blood when he stabbed himself, by the way. He fucking booming. It was like an ocean.
God.
Everybody was like, holy
geyser.
fuck.
I was like,
he pulled his thumb or something, didn't he? Like, he did some...
It's been a little bit since I saw the last episode. It's been maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's like some sort of like suicide thing that you can do with, I don't know.
Oh, okay. He like hit like an artery or something. And okay.
Yeah.
It worked. It distracted everybody. Light got out.
That was like Quentin Tarantino levels of blood coming out of that man.
Something small that I did like about him escaping is the interaction between the two groups after he leaves, because they were
like, lol.
because
around, they're like, well, no,
because like the Japanese the group, right, the guys who have been with this whole time, these American motherfuckers rolled up and took over and managed to get him, right? Like they Nier and the Americans won. USA, right?
Yeah.
But like Light runs out and Nier's like, don't worry about it. He got shot a bunch. We'll get him. And the group that have been with him this whole time and have experienced everything are with all due respect, we're not listening to you.
Yeah, dude,
absolutely not. We're not letting this man walk out of here with no one watching him. Like, that is not happening.
No way. He gets away still breathing. I'm panicking until I see his body. I need.
Because I guess for Nier, this was like a 6-month task. Like, he's like, I could knock this out in like a couple of months. That wasn't that bad.
That's true. It was real quick.
These poor guys have been there for like 6 years trying to figure this shit out.
Been in the trenches with this man. Yeah.
I like the imagery of him running as well, where he like walks past himself as a teenager when he first finds the book. Like just has him as a kid walking past as he's running past, like the little skip. I think that's super cool. But I can see where like him just dying a pathetic loser immediately in the room would be a good ending. Yeah,
it's very cathartic. Yeah, I mean, again, his ending isn't great in the anime either. It's very, deserving.
Yeah.
But there's something of just like the panels of him just begging and just saying, I don't want to die, while Ryuk is literally standing there waiting and smiling. He's like, and Ryuk's like, you're right, though. This was fun. Like, this was a good time. I like
bored. That. Yeah, his like final line is like, you were interesting.
Yeah, and then,
for sure. Anyway, bye-bye.
That's what I meant when I was talking about Ryuk earlier, is like, I love that at the end, especially with this whole storyline with 2 Shinigami falling in love with Misa and dying for her, that Ryuk is like, I never gave a shit about you, but you were fun. I'm gonna write your name and then I'm gonna move on with my life.
Yeah.
Like you imagine how long Rogue like lives for? That's 5 years. It's like nothing. It's like a little splash in the
just a fun little blip.
Does Ryuk gain I can't remember, does he gain the life of the people that Light writes into that book? Or is it only if he writes the names that he gains the life?
I think he gets the life of the people that he kills.
But not who Light kills?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, because I mean, man, he made bank. Like, that dude,
that was a venture.
He made big life dollars in that moment.
Maybe the most life dollars of any. He would be famous when he went back to the Shinigami world. Like,
good God. It's interesting, too, because I've seen people, talking about, man, I'd love to see another Death Note. But Light was so, catastrophic to the world that the moment somebody else had a Death Note in that world, people would immediately know and be like, okay, we gotta fucking find this person. Like, there's no real room to do another Death Note, even though the setup for the show is pretty easy to honestly make multiple kind of non-tied together stories of people who just find the Death Note. Some people who aren't geniuses,
finding notes, what they would do with it.
Yeah. But Light truly being, being the first of the series, he's like the best you'll ever get, and the whole world knew, and you can't ever have a Death Note again.
3 criminals left, so the next person would knock out those 3 criminals. And I guess I'll just kill some people for fun.
That's also true. I wonder what Light would have done if he ever accomplished, quote unquote, his utopia of like, I feel like he would get bored. His narcissism would just like drive him to find more reasons to kill other people or outthink people or whatever.
So I think that was the implication with when they started to say anybody who Kira determines is like a negative to society, right?
Mhm.
And then the people who are watching the TV are like, what? So Kira's going to start killing lazy people now? And Light overhears that.
I'm fucked.
Light overhears that and thinks,
method, like kill the smokers.
Yeah. Light overhears that and is basically like, it's a little early for that, but doesn't disagree.
It's in my plan.
Right?
It's in my 10-step plan.
No,
Like,
literally, I think he would just find reason, and
yeah.
I don't know. I'm of the feeling that his whole thing was flawed to begin with.
Oh, God,
right?
yeah.
He didn't like try to take down bad capitalism or anything. Like he didn't actually try to fix any problems. He just wanted to have the power to like kill people. Right?
It was the tiny bit of rationalization that he could give himself that all he needed to be like, I can do what I want because I'm doing it for good. And that's all he needed in his brain. Like, because he's so shallow.
Yeah. Like the things that he would actually need to create this utopia, the ways he would need to like change the how the world operates, he couldn't do by just one-off killing people necessarily. So he was like, here's how I'm going to fix it. Anybody who does something wrong, I'm just going to kill him. It's like, I don't know. This feels flawed from the start.
It feels like this doesn't really leave a lot of room for like improvement or, growth in any way.
Yes. No one's allowed to grow or learn. Absolutely not. No.
And then you act out of pure fear, and then it would all spiral out of control anyway. Like, and that, I mean, that's part of it too. Is like in the beginning, Ryuk says, or the Shinigami, whoever gets a death note, only misfortune follows. Like they just don't end up having like what they think is going to happen. And Light's like, I'll be the exception to the rule. No,
because I'm a smart boy.
Yeah, I'm just so genius and so perfect, and I'm so pretty.
Something that I like is when he doesn't have his memories, but he's working on the case with L. I like the moments where he's thinking to himself about Kira and is saying things to himself like, it is weird because the sorts of things Kira is doing is probably what I would do.
Yeah.
If I had
Wouldn't
this
it be
book.
so funny if he got busted during his not knowing? That was his downfall.
Wait.
This is me? Wait a minute.
But I like it because I think it's probably pretty easy to say after watching the ending of the anime, specifically, more to Mathis's point, right? Watching the end of the anime and being like, it could have all been different for Light. He could have just been a good boy.
Yes, no, exactly, yeah.
But I kind of like those moments of, if I had the note, probably I would have done that too, right?
It shows you that he is he is at the core.
This just is who he is, right? That he was probably going to be a manipulator no matter what. He wouldn't have had the ability to just write a person's name down and kill them, but he would have been a shitty person probably.
He would have been a politician. That's it. That's all he would have been. He would have been a politician or like a CEO. Like that's the life he would have had. A typical narcissistic kind of life path, essentially. When you give somebody power over fucking life and death, shit goes sideways, especially when he's fucking 17 when he gets it for the first time. Like he's fucking child. At the end, though, I'm curious. Like, I love this show. I really enjoyed it the second time around. I did think I was going to get bored, and I didn't. I was very grateful for that. But it was, man, it's just masterful writing. It's just so well done, and I appreciate it so much more now than I did when I was younger. Again, going in knowing what was going to happen, and do we rate shit? I don't remember. I give it a 9 out of 10. There you go. There's my rating. Yeah, whatever. I give it.
We'll have a different rating system every single episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Stars.
Give it 9 victims out of 10.
Oh God.
9. I'm assuming you guys feel similarly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's. I don't know the exact list, but it's in my top 5 anime of all time for sure.
Yeah, it's in mine too. It has it's reaffirmed it. It's just so fucking good.
It knew when to end. It didn't have season 2, season 3 of like padding and bullshit, which they could have been. This could have been a 4-season padding show, but they had one season, 36, 37 episodes. They never did another one, apart from like a spin-off book. I think they did at some point. And they just left it. They left it alone.
And they did the live action, which is very divisive. Some people love it. You know,
I'm curious to see it. Actually, I wanted to watch it before we recorded this, but I just haven't had a chance.
That can be our bonus episode when we don't. When you need more time, we can just like do a Netflix.
Live action adaptation.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Anime shows.
I love it. That's our discussion here on Death Note. Thank you everybody for listening. We are going to watch. Dodger, why don't you announce? What are we going to watch next? And then we'll talk about it after.
Sure. We're going to go for something much shorter this time.
Yes.
It is very beloved. It's one of those strange anime where the people who've watched it adore it. And the people who haven't watched it probably haven't heard of it. It's really strange that way.
Yep. Me too.
So this next anime that we're going to be watching is called Odd Taxi. It's 12 episodes, so very manageable.
Yippee!
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I will read you the summary. Ready?
Yeah.
I believe neither of you have looked this up at all, correct?
I have no idea.
Fantastic.
I'm guessing there's going to be an odd taxi.
Yeah, I'm assuming there's a taxi involved and something's weird about it.
All right, so eccentric and blunt, the walrus Hiroshi Odokawa lives a relatively normal life. He drives a taxi for a living, and there he meets several unique individuals. The jobless Taichi Kabasawa, who is dead set on going viral, the mysterious nurse Miho Shirakawa, the struggling comedic duo Homo sapiens, and Dobu, a well-known delinquent. But Odokawa's simple life is about to be turned upside down. The case of a missing girl the police have been tracking leads back to him. And now both the Yakuza and a duo of corrupt cops are on his tail.
Wait.
Holy, wait, is he a walrus? Are they?
Is it like a walrus society?
It is a anthropomorphized animal society.
Okay.
Every
Zootopia.
Character is an animal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
And
Is there a hot bunny lady?
you'll have to watch. You'll have to find out. There usually is one.
12 episodes.
He says
that's
12
insane.
episodes and the Yakuza and corrupt cops get involved.
Yeah.
If this takes like a Cowboy Bebop kind of style, it's going to be
jam packed.
It sounds like episodic, but if there's is there an overarching story?
It's 12 episodes and it's a missing persons case. So I assume it's not episodic, right? I assume it's like no. It's probably our walrus friend trying to figure out how to convince people that he's not involved and also maybe solve the case, right?
Gotcha. I thought my mind went to every episode is him taxiing some different citizen around and they're telling him a story about their life. And we get like a one-off shot of like, what's it like in the fucking alligator man's life for today? And that's like what we're fucking doing.
There might be an element of that.
Maybe.
But I assume if there's a missing girl and the police think that he did it, I don't think he's just chill, casual taxiing people around.
Yeah. A couple of cops getting the taxi.
Suspected of kidnapping. It's fine.
Yeah.
I gotta pay rent tomorrow.
Guys,
I'm like, obviously we haven't looked anything up, so
No.
I'm like trying to imagine what it looks like. If it's
The
going to be like
style
a
of it.
gritty, or it's going to be like a more goofy, but with a serious. It sounds like it's got a serious undertone, like a darker undertone, but it could be just a complete comedy. So it's going to be
That's true.
very interesting. Where can people watch it?
It looks like a Studio Ghibli kind of art style.
it's cool, huh?
Oh, I like that art a lot. Yeah, that's beautiful. If you have Amazon Prime, Crunchyroll.
It's on Crunchyroll. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, wow. that
Sub
looks cool.
and dub, if anybody wants
Oh
to
shit, I'm going back to
try out
English.
the dub.
Yeah.
I don't want to read.
I'll probably stick with dub. Yeah. I'm very intrigued.
Mhm.
It's impossible to tell when you said Odd Taxi what that was going to be about, apart from there being a taxi involved,
Yep.
which could have gone either way. There could have been
Right.
no taxi at all.
The reason that I laughed when I started to read the synopsis was I saw that walrus was one of the first words, and I was like, good.
Yep.
Throw him off the scent immediately.
I'm actually really excited to watch this too.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, then that's our next episode. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for supporting us here at Anime Cult. We still are in the top 20 like TV and review podcasts on Spotify
That's
and
insane
Apple.
because we haven't released an episode for 4 months.
We were number 27 last week. Like,
Guys, we got to ramp up production here.
we gotta get weekly.
We
gotta
could
get
be
it out.
crushing it. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much, and thank you, obviously, you guys for being here for the episode. we'll see you guys next. I want to say next week, but no, not next week. Next episode, whenever that is, in a few weeks. Yeah.
Next episode.
It won't be as long as the gap between these
12 episodes. That's going to be like peanuts after Death Note, dude.
Bro, I'm so excited for 12
you could
episodes.
Watch one a day and still knock it out in like a week.
Yeah.
There were a couple times through Death Note, I was like 10 episodes in. I'm like, wait, it's like what, 27 episodes? And I'd open it and I'd just see 30 and I'm like, fuck. Like, it's like, God, damn, there's still so much more.
It's such a bad mindset that we have. We're like, even though we enjoy something, we're like, it's going to take so long, man.
It's because we all spin 900 plates. You have like 5 videos being edited right now. Daughter's part of like 9 podcasts. She has a kid and a family and a farm. Like, Jesus. All right, we're out of here. Thank you guys so much. We love you. We appreciate you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.